What's your man Jam C?
Yo, 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 it's your favorite Republican,
And
Republican
we here in
Look.
the,
And this is
and we got a special guest here. Shout yourself.
what's up? This is Kenny Sean. How y'all doing? From Men Achieving Change, Mac for short.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are going vocal, and we got a really, really, really. I think it's a great topic today, and I think it's a must need given the nature of where we are now, just as a people and as a culture, and this administration. So this is, it was something I know it was near and dear to me. Mr. Kenny Sean, has the Mac Men Achieving Change program, and I had the honor of being a guest speaker on the panel. And from that, I was kind of, Republican and I was discussing, and it was something passionate for Republican too. So it was like, yo, he was like, yo, we gotta get Sean on the show. So I thought it would be befitting that we get on him ASAP and come and present the show to the world today.
And also, too, I think that the program that Sean has is an excellent program. And of course, will allow him to talk about it and, and
Hmm.
ways of getting in contact with him if you want to
Hmm.
support it, if you want to be involved or be a part of it. Um, you know, I'm telling you, that first meeting that they had, or the first, you know, set down we have, it was amazing. It was amazing with the group of guys that were there, the panelists that was there, and the people that were pouring in to men. And it was something that was pretty good and decent. I was glad I was able to be a part of that. So, you know, Sean, if you want to go ahead and just give a overview of what men achieving change, what does that mean and what does it look like, and
Hmm.
try
Sure,
and say,
sure. Men Achieving Change is about empowering men to extinguish influential leadership that nurture the human spirit as fathers in our community. And basically, what we want to do is, everybody always looking for, we as men always looking for the outward things, external things like tangible things like jewelry, cars, clothes, men. I'm sorry, women. And how many women we have. But when we understand the internal value of ourselves and those things that are intangible, you can't touch joy, you can't see happiness, you can't see love. You can express it, but you can't see it. And those are things that are forever. Those are things that goes on whether I'm here or not. It continues to go on. And so when you understand who you are internally, there's nothing that can stop you. And when you understand that you are a resource and you could be of value to your community by understanding who you are, there's nothing you can't accomplish. So that's what basically Men Achieving Change is about. The spirit of man is the candlelight of God. And we want every man to know that you are born to lead. When a child comes out of the womb, if he's a young man, if he's a boy, one day he's going to be a leader of a family. So every child, every boy that's born from a mother's womb is born to lead. And that's what Men Achieving Change is basically about.
yeah, it sounds like something that this world needs, not in just in one state, but in every county. You know,
Hmm.
it seems like it's something this needed. This needs to be in every county across the country, where there are people who are pouring back into the men, right? Because you
Hmm.
think about it, we as men, we often the last one to get thanked, the last one to you know to get acknowledged, the last to get rewarded. We're always
Hmm.
last, and no one ever pours into us because we're always so busy securing the household, making sure everything is taken care of, right? And we give it all to everybody else. But in some cases, not all cases,
Hmm.
it is giving back. If you got a significant other and a supporting family, it does come back to you. So I don't want to paint that picture that there is no support for us men out here. There are, but support for men supporting other men, that's something that you rarely see. So this is a
Mhm.
very good program, and it should be implemented across. It should be state funded. It
Yes,
should be really
absolutely. I
state
agree.
funded.
I agree. I agree with that. I think, and one of the things while we're here today, we want to discuss with him was because this is one of the things he's passionate about. We talked about generational curses. Excuse me. We talked about generational curses and how it has affected us and a lot of black men today. You know, for me, I know I've been affected by generational curses, hence by way of, being a child of a single mother, and where I didn't have my dad in my life, and in my community, my immediate community when I grew up, there wasn't many black men in the house. So for me, it was almost like a shock to see a man, and I grew up in the projects. So for me, it was shocking to see a mother and father in the projects together with children.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think and with that being said, right? You being raised by a single black female, right? And you as a parent, you end up turning around being a single father.
Yeah, because that's
You
exactly what
understand what
happened.
I'm saying? You
Yes,
see, you
that's
see how
exactly
that
what happened.
you see
Yes,
how that came
yes,
back around. You know what I'm saying?
yes, yes,
That
yes.
came back around. And likewise for myself, me, being raised in a single parent household, which is my mom, and full transparency, I could probably be more present in my own kids, in my own child life. In full transparency, I could do
Hmm.
more. I mean, financially, I'm there. You understand what I'm saying? But physically, I could do more. You understand? And maybe
Hmm.
I need to break that generational curse. Maybe that curse is falling onto me because of a single parent household. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little transparency on my part.
and let me also speak to that, because a lot of people think that just because you have two parents in the home, that everything is functional. But sometimes, depending on alcohol, depending on drugs, depending on other things, even though you have two parents in the home, your father may not be there or your mother may not be there because of the dysfunctions that they may have to deal with, and one of them would be drug addiction. So if a father is on drug addiction and he's in the home, he's not really in the home, because that addiction is really feeding him, and he can't give the kids what they need, and therefore the kids grow up dysfunctional, because that masculine man that's supposed to be there is invaded by drug addiction. And then somehow, in some shape or form, we all know, coming from where we come from, where times are hard at, that drug addiction can be very, very uh, infectious to the family
Hmm.
environment, to the family home, and
Mm.
therefore it's a disease that spreads in the home, where the child is lacking because of that dependency of whether it's mother or father, but for that father, really, if that father, the dependency they have on them drugs can affect a child, whether it be male or female, in a home tremendously. And that's the thing about generational curses, that is very important for us to really try to, as men, bond together and break all of the curses that we can have. Because fatherlessness is just not a father missing in the home. It's a father that,
Hmm.
whether he's abusive, has a whole lot of women, whether he's fatherless in the home, can be a lot of things, even though a father is there, but he's not really in the child's, right, really in the child's life, because of other things.
Yeah, the point
Gotcha.
I was gonna make the point of, right. It doesn't necessarily have to be drugs to keep a father away, but a father can just be working out to provide and give
Yes.
so much to the job, or so much getting out here trying to make sure that the household is sustained, that when he come home he has nothing to give. You
Hmm.
understand? Oh, he
Absolutely.
got enough time to get something to eat, take a shower, and go to sleep. You understand? And then back at it again the next day, right? And then when the weekend come, probably got a second job, trying to make sure that all ends are meet. Kids got to go to school. Kids got to go to college. Kids need new shoes. That internet need to be on. You know what I'm saying? So it could be so many
Yes.
different ways of how a man can be absent in the home and not be, and still
Yes.
be a single parent. Like, you could have both
Yeah.
of them there. To Sean's point, both of the parents could be there, but
Hmm.
emotionally, only one parent is there.
Yeah.
That's deep.
And I think
Yeah,
it's
and
important. Go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry,
go ahead,
brother.
Cuz. No, go ahead. You got it.
I
You got
think,
the floor.
and I think it's important for, we have masculine energy, we have feminine energy, and I think it's important for that masculine energy to be in the home and be aware of everything that's going on. Just because that all the man got to do is just show up. He got to be there. All the man got to do is just say the word. And I'm not talking about sometimes. I'm talking about consistently. And all he got to do is
Mm-hmm.
all he got to do is speak. And that voice that he has, that tone that he has, that energy that he has, it puts things in perspective. And a kid is allowed to be. A kid can understand position and understand order. But when that's taken out of the way, that order is disrupted. And because that order is disrupted, it can be passed down from generation to generation. So one of the topics that we talked about is fatherlessness and emotional suppression. And that's a generational curse, because if another father not there, if that masculine energy is not there, there's a suppression that
Mm-hmm.
happens with the children, with the daughter or the son. There's a suppression
Yes.
that's going on. So I just wanted to put that in there.
You know what
So
made
you
me?
so look, let me say this. So when and this is just a question, but I think I know the answer to. So do can that mean that this is why we have a lot of our young men react emotional when it comes to conflict resolution?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh.
especially if that young man was raised by his mother. When women, all they do is deal with emotions. So if all he ever saw was somebody dealing with something was emotional, then what you think he gonna do? He only gonna do what he saw, right? And if the man isn't there to show him that you don't deal with it like that, we deal with it logically. We sit and we think
Mm-hmm.
about it, and then we address it. You understand what I'm saying? We don't come off the cup because we wearing our feelings on our sleeve and start acting react in such a manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just was thinking of another point and it just eluded me because I wanted to answer that question. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh man,
Well, I'm
uh,
gonna jump in. Go ahead.
sure,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead, go
jump
ahead,
in a
go ahead.
little bit because with that father, a lot of times, we were taught, and I don't know if it's without a father or with the father, but I'm just gonna say this: we was taught, even sometimes with a father, we was taught, don't you be crying, don't you cry, boy, men don't
Yeah.
cry, boys don't cry. But when you
Yeah.
have a father in his perspective place, a mother in his perspective place, and not really to shade anybody or to come against anybody, but we were taught that men don't cry or men cry in the dark, and
Mm-hmm.
that was a misnomer, because sometimes
Yes.
my tears, letting out my tears really gets out frustration, really gets out something that's inside, and it brings a lot of more substance to me, that I was able to get those tears out and I can express myself. And a lot of people think
Mm-hmm.
tears is sensitivity, but tears is strength.
I
Them
agree.
tears, them tears is a part of a strength that can happen, because it can make you stronger, and it can push you the other way as well. But most times when you have a father there, when you have that authority figure there, you say, man, go ahead, that's all right. Cry, get it out. And he pumping that into you. There's a self-esteem that arises from that, because of that masculine man. Every boy
Mm-hmm.
is looking for that dad for some confirmation. Every boy is looking
Mm-hmm.
for that dad to be like, yo, it's all right, man. That dad, that
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that dad. Mom can say whatever, but when dad is there, it's just a different ball game.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different affirmation coming from
Yeah.
the dad. It's a different affirmation. The point I was gonna make, and I don't want to go down that road of conspiracy theory, and it just made me think of that movie Claudine, right? So
Mhm.
Yes.
Claudine couldn't have a boyfriend or a man in the house, right? Because if she
Mm-hmm.
had a man in the house, welfare wouldn't sustain her, right?
Come
Yes.
on.
So
Yes.
Speak
I'm
to it.
saying all that to say that that's how important we are. That's how important man is to the house. Is that they
Mm-hmm.
even fear us because they want us out of there, right? Because
Yeah.
they know how important we are to that house and to these
Mm-hmm.
kids and
So
to that
right.
generate to the next generation. They knew that if we was there and we was standing on business, that these kids would grow up to be something, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why they wanted us out the house, right? And some of that stuff, and that's how maybe some of this generational stuff started in the first place, by not having a man in the house, because you had to make sure you had got your subsidies. You know what I'm saying? So it and I don't want, we could go down that conspiracy theory if you want to go that way, but the reality of it is that's how it was, and that was a mandate in order for you to get your subsidies back in the day.
Agreed, agreed. So we talked like, so for me, I think is to we go. I'm gonna go back to when you said men cry in the dark. I think crying is healthy. What we don't do is we don't do it with each other, like men, unless it's like. But you know, so crazy. That's why I admire athletes, because when an athlete loses a championship, they cry. They let it right out. They cry. They embrace each other. To me, that's therapy. That's
Yeah,
therapy because it teaches you to deal with disappointment with strength. And they tell you keep your head up. Your coach always say keep your head up. Don't ever put your head down. Yeah, you go ahead on the cry, let that out, but you keep your head up. Whereas when you go back in your neighborhood, they always tell you, to your point, they're telling you you shouldn't cry. What you crying for? What you crying for? That makes you weak. And crying is to me it's a strength thing. It's you got to be strong to cry. You
Here's
know,
what I
especially not be afraid to do it in front of people you care about or even a stranger.
here's what I've learned about crying, right? Think about all those years you was taught how to be hard, how you need to be a man and man do this. All you did was harden your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you cry, every time you cry, you soften your heart. You get what I'm saying? So the
Mm-hmm.
more you do it, the more you do it, the softer your heart becomes. You get what I'm saying? So I think that we should do it more often, because your heart done turned into stone all these years from being so hard that you need to soften it up.
Which goes back to I guess what we was talking about, what Sean was mentioning too, about how street culture plays a part in that. Like we lose ourselves into street culture, and we never really become who we're supposed to be, or who we really are inside. Like, you could be at home one way, you could be at work one way, but you get in your community with your friends and you're another way. You live in like the
yeah.
culture that you was raised in, instead of just being true to who you are.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. There's no way you could be in the streets the way your mom raised you. You get eaten up. You, you'll be food out there. You'll be food out there. You know what I'm saying? So you have to become what those streets are to survive.
But why is that? Like, Sean, why do you think that is?
I think a lot of times what a person does is mask their uh, femininity. And don't get me wrong when I say this, because even though I got a lot of testosterone, but there is some sensitivity in us as men. There
Mm-hmm.
is some there is a part of us that has a little bit of estrogen. And what I mean by that is, your homie, if something happened to your homie, you cling to him. You go and get a drink, or oh man, dog, this happened to such and such and such and such. You sympathize, you
Mm-hmm.
empathize,
Mm-hmm.
or you want to dap your boy up. So there's a little bit of sensitivity. So I think we learn to mask that, because the culture that we've been taught is not our true identity, and we've seen something that we tried to live up to instead of being your true
Gotcha.
self. So it became something, association becomes assimilation. So who you associate yourself with, you assimilate yourself with, and you mask who you really are, because you're trying to live up to that image that everybody else have about you, or the image that you seen and you portrayed. And so you faked it till you made it, and you made it, and you become other than yourself, and you forgot about your true self, or you was never taught who true self was, who true
Jesus,
self
yeah.
is, until you come to a certain age and you finally realize. And sometimes it takes a humbling experience that make you
That make
realize,
you
man,
realize,
it's not
man,
really
it's
who
not
I
really
am.
who
It's
I
not
am.
really
It's not
me.
really me.
And then some
And
people
some
never
people
find
never
out who they
find out
really
who they
are.
really. Yeah, you're right.
So
So
I think we
I think we
glorify street
glorify
culture
street
over true
culture over true
identity by
identity
taking
by
on what
taking on
we've been
what we've been
uh what we've been around, by coming a product of your environment and not really
hmm
understanding true self. So I think that's it was that's the
that's the
process.
process. You know, and that's really today's music really makes it hard for you to be true for the younger generation to be true to who they are because rap music right now, and I don't like to say hip hop because it's not the true form of hip hop that we know. So I would just say rap music now, everybody's living a whole nother life. They're living what they consider to be their street culture. That's why when you see so many artists go to prison, you see that they some of them came from good families. They started living a life that they thought they needed to live, sort of like following exactly to your example. So that's why you have music the way it is right now because they're trying to identify with what they think street culture is.
I had a question.
I had a question.
I want to pose
I
a
want to
question
pose a question
to you
to
guys.
you.
Do you think do you think street culture is a true
Is
identity for some
identity for
people?
some people?
No, yeah, for some it is. For some,
For
that's
some,
just
that's just
who they
who
are, and
they
that's
are, and that's
I mean,
I mean,
it's
it's
unfortunate,
unfortunate,
but I think
but I
ninety
think
percent of
90%
it
of
is a
it is a
facade.
facade. I agree with that because I think it depends on
So
how you were brought up and the environment you brought up in. Because some people never had an opportunity. Like let's say the kid who grew up in foster care, who might have ran away at an early age and got incarcerated at an early age. If his life was in the system that whole time based on that element, that's all he know.
mm, mm,
And then you got some
mm,
people that just
Just
they was
they
just
were
gonna be
just gonna be
part of the
part of the
streets no
street
matter
no
what.
matter what.
And you
And
seen
you
it them
seen it them
as a little kid, you know what I'm saying? Because they family was kind of wild like that. And then you some people, and in some cases, it's an adverse effect to that person. But then in some, they just become what they family was, and just add on to what the family is, and it goes right into what we're talking about now:
Mhm.
generational curses. You know what I'm
You know
saying?
what I'm saying?
now let me ask you,
Let me
now
ask
do we
now
think,
do we
because
think
I don't
because
think
I
that
don't think that
when it comes to
when it comes to
that and what you spoke to as it being all their lives and they never seen anything
seeing
else,
anything else,
I still don't
I still don't
identify that. Me
identify that.
myself,
Me
this is my
myself, this is
opinion.
my opinion.
I still don't
I still don't
identify that with a true identity. And only because I'm saying
because
that
I'm
because
saying that because
morally we
morally
all
we
know
all know
what's right
what's
and what's
right
wrong.
and what's wrong. You should.
Right.
Right. You
We
should.
do.
Yes, you
No, we
should.
do. We do. But at the same time, our people can shift what they believe to be right, right, and make
And
that right.
make that right.
Somebody that's
Somebody that's
bad gonna
bad
make
gonna
they
make
bad
they
right.
bad right.
You know what I'm
You know
saying?
what I'm saying?
So,
So
because I'm when I think about this, and God bless his soul, I think about one person, him and his brother. They just
they
was
just
chilling
was terrible
in the
in the
project.
project.
You know where
You
I'm
know
going.
where I'm going.
Bemba,
Bemba,
right?
right?
To me,
To me,
they was just
it's
born
just
to be
going to
like
be
that.
like that.
Hmm.
I mean,
I mean,
that's a
that's a
crazy
crazy
statement to say
statement
they
to
was
say they
born
was
to be
born to
like
be
that.
like that.
They was
They
in
was
it.
in
Like
it. Like,
you
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 just
like, what good did they have in them? You couldn't find no good in them. Maybe once in a while you seen them not slap somebody, but it's a good day for them today. You know what I'm saying? But
Wow.
to me, it just felt like they were just
just
bad,
bad.
bad people to me. I don't know. Maybe you could speak to it differently, Jam.
Nah, I think that, like that's what, and I think that's the point I was making when I said some people, depending on where they the things they experienced in their life, like if they were young in and out of the system at a young age, if that's all you know, to you guys point, morally, yeah, it could be wrong, but if you don't have, sometimes those things feel right, like because some people feel like I should have these things too without the wherewithal to know that we're all in the same race. We grow, especially if I grew up in a impoverished community and you grew up in a impoverished community, you know, we don't act the same. So, so when you look at that, but we take from each other. Wrong, right, or indifferent, but the way we rationalize is it because you have it, you don't need it. I need it more than you do. So it's better if I have it than you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like we really don't so it's kind of weird when we say street culture and true identity. Some people don't know who they are.
Yeah. That's
They
a
don't
fact.
know who they are. So when you deal with somebody, if your only example is in and out of jail and that's all you had all your life, or just getting in trouble and that's all you knew since you was a young child, that is your life. That you are street culture. To what Republican was saying, some people that's all they know.
And think about it like this: for the average male, you actually don't mature until you get in your 30s.
Yeah, because the
So
frontal
Yeah.
lobe. Yeah, yeah.
as a teen in the early 20s, you don't know, you ain't got a clue who you are, right? And you can lean to the left or lean to the right, whichever one is suiting your situation at the time. You kind of, you that's who you identify with, and you start to go that way and start thinking, well, maybe that's who I am. I don't have a clue who you are.
Mm.
And I think some of that is based on your life experiences too. You know, that's why I do tip my hat for in communities where like even Men Achieving Change. There's been some programs where I grew up at. I was at a panel yesterday, and they were talking about how like some of the kids was getting bused to going to college, like to have the college tour experience. And they do that like in the city of North. They did a program like that where they took the kids off to a college tour. So for some people, they never got out of the state. So when they got to do the college tour, maybe not everybody, but at least a small percentage of those guys ended up going to college because they didn't know that they would give an opportunity to further their life for the better. So
Mm.
when you don't have experiences outside of the communities that you really get stagnant and you stay in that.
Yeah. And see, I think this is one of the reasons that Men Achieving Change started, because this is an out for people that never had the opportunity to express themselves, never had the opportunity to see a man that achieved change like yourselves, never have the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to hear something different that can tap into who they really are. So a lot of times people are not exposed to other men that have been on the same route that they have been on, or they seen it but never was able to touch it, never was able to have a conversation. I had a young man say to me one day that when he seen somebody in a suit and they might have been just like him, but because he couldn't identify with him, he wouldn't share or express his thing with him because he didn't look like him. He was in a
Mm.
suit, so that suit made him look tidy, made him look uppity, made him
Yeah.
look some type of way. So he wouldn't be able to express nothing to that man, even though that man could have all that he needed conversationally, could have took him somewhere, could have brought him out to another place. Identify with him because of his dress code. He never talked to him. So that's why Men Achieving Change is doing what Men Achieving Change is doing, man, to just open up those horizons, broaden this perspective of these young men and the people that feel that they have this street culture, and that's all that the life it is, just to show
Yes.
them that there is something else.
Okay. Never judge a book. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do I do think that it's something as simple as a young man, if you believe in it, just believe that you can have it.
Yeah,
Believe that it's yours.
talk
Believe
Mm-hmm.
about
that you could go out and get it. And as long as you believe it, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's yours.
Yeah.
Can't nobody stop you from it.
Yes.
I think it's really just that simple, right? And the part of it that's so difficult is allowing them to know that they could believe in it. Just getting them to buy into it. Like it's just so hard for them to buy into it, right? That's the hard part. But once they buy into it and realize that they are and they can have and they can achieve it, it's no stopping. It's no stopping. It really isn't. And that's either if it's a single parent household, a same sex relationship household, whatever it is. If they believe in themselves, ain't nothing. It's nothing that's gonna stop them.
Agreed. Agreed. I do have one last question that I'm thinking about. Now we talking about stopping or breaking generational curses. Um, and I guess and I guess that's a wide array of different things. So like right now we was talking about growing up in a single father. What about for people like me? I don't have any young children and I'm single. So my thing is, what way could I break a generational curse from my dad? Or I guess it would be my father was an addict. You know, he fell to his addiction too. So I guess me breaking the curse is not doing drugs. I mean, like, what way would be for me to break a generational curse for my family?
But you still got a responsibility. If you got nieces and nephews,
Mm-hmm.
you got responsibilities to them, right? You got a responsibility even to your friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? That you need to hold them accountable, right? And you need to be present for them if they need you and when they need you. You know what I'm saying? So it is not necessarily you just being a father, but you as just being an individual and you lifting up anybody that needs you. You know, it could be nieces, nephews, it could be friends, it could be co-workers, it could be people that you marathon with, whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have an obligation to just uplift mankind altogether because your generational curse cannot just spread throughout your family; it can spread throughout your community because you could be the poison.
Got you. Got you. Got you.
Yep, that's good. I piggyback off of that. Going into any young man that you may have never come across that you can inspire. So that could be a
Mm-hmm.
youth program, that could be going to college, that could be speaking at different places. Breaking your generational curse is helping the
Got you.
next young man that didn't have a father or that experienced the same things that you did that you can speak to and let him know how you ended up with having
Got you.
this show, how successful you are, and just being in that life of that young man that was in the same place that you were. Because I
Got
guarantee
you.
you can speak to your young self, and you have a whole lot to tell to your young self, which is a
Yeah.
whole lot of young men that's in the same situation that you was growing up in.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like that. So anybody got anything in closing? Anybody got to get your shit together?
Nah, I don't got no get no stuff
I got
together.
one.
You got
I
one?
got one with. Yeah, I
Give
got
it
to
to
get
him.
some stuff together. The Secretary of War bombing these ships that they suspect to be terrorists, and they never did no investigation. They never did
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And at one point, there was some people that survived, and they was hanging on the boat, and they blew them up too. So they just going
Oh.
around killing people that they suspect with no investigation, and they calling it right. They need to get themselves together. And if they
Yeah.
could do it to people abroad, they could do it to anybody in this country as well.
Yeah.
With no
Absolutely.
investigation, with no nothing. Get their stuff together.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
I would piggyback on. I've been seeing a few pictures of Sean Combs inside of this federal prison,
Mm-hmm.
and he looking too comfortable. So Sean Combs, don't get comfortable in a federal pen. Get yourself together, man.
and let's look at it this way. Let's try to give them the benefit of the doubt because with AI on a rampage, we don't know who putting that up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
So and it's a bad rap if it is true. But yeah, but my get your shit together is going out to I would just say our culture, the black culture, the black male in particularly. We need to get our shit together. We need to break the generational curse. We need to check in with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like I check in with my two brothers that's on the show today. We started a group text where I'm actually a part of two different texts where we do check in emotionally, mentally, physically. You have to check in. We need to teach the younger generation to check in, not the check in that these rappers talking about when you come to my city, check in. No, I need to see where you at mentally. Are you mentally stable? You mentally healthy? What's going on? Is there anything I could do to help you by way of advice, network properly, help you secure a job? Whatever it is we need to talk about. Find you a doctor, find you a nutritionist, whatever. But we need to check in more. We need to get our shit together and check in with each other. And this goes out to everybody.
That's more of a call of action as opposed to get your stuff together.
Well, the get your shit together for people who's not doing it to start get their shit together and start doing it. But it's also, yeah, you're right. It is a call to action. We do need to do that.
Yeah.
And all right. With that being said, we've gone vocal. You can hit us up at Gmail. Goingvocal@gmail.com. That's GOYNVOCAL at gmail.com. And Kenny Sean, where can they reach you?
MenAchieveingChange.com. MenAchieveingChange.com. You can reach me at. Yes, sir.
All right. And you on anything on IG? You on IG? What's your tag on IG?
Same thing. Men Achieving Change at Instagram. Yep. Instagram. Men Achieving Change at Instagram. Yes, sir.
And with that being said, it's your man Jam C.
It's your favorite Republican.
It's Kenny Sean.
All right. And we have gone vocal. Peace.